Chapter 16. The next few weeks pass by and I spend more time with Grandma and Grandpa helping them around the house. Grandpa lets me work next to him in his garden out back. Back home, I never wanted to get my hands dirty doing yard work, but here it is different. Here the cool earth between my fingers seems to take away all time. I'm out picking beans and potatoes for 3 hours and never even notice the time fly. Except for all the biting flies. Nature is not for the weak. Grandpa is amazing. I mean, really. He's a World War II veteran who came back to his reservation, was the first Indian in the state to ever finish college, and was an all-state basketball champion whose team, seriously, played the Harlem Globetrotters and won. On top of that, he's been a tribal council representative in Warrenville, but only after he was tribal chairman. Woo. And I thought my collection of participation awards took the cake. But here's the thing, Grandpa would never, and I mean not even once, brag about his accomplishments. In fact, everyone up here will brush away any compliment or praise with a sweep of their hands. What a difference from back home. It's funny, up here the Indian people have so much beauty in their lives, but not the superficial kind. Not fancy homes, designer clothes, expensive cars, or even prize-winning roses like back home. But what they do have is a quiet, gentle knowledge of the beauty that's found in life through the 4 main things: family, faith, nature, and humor. You can't buy that, not even at the dollar store. Ayya. In a way, I feel as if I'm starting to shed my old self. 2 months ago, you would never have seen me wear the same outfit twice in a month. Now I pretty much wear the 2 pair of Levi's from my mom's closet and her old cowboy boots. Now I've never felt better about myself. Who knew? Indian family and reservations, the best kept beauty secret. Or maybe it's me understanding who I am. Back to the beans. So I was next to Grandpa in the garden, both of us kneeling as we pick. As I start eating some of the green beans, he stops and stares at me. I don't see him at first, so I keep throwing each one in the air and try to catch it. I'm pretty good, if I do say so. As I notice the look on his face, I stop quickly. Oh, I'm sorry, Musham. I shouldn't eat these yet, should I? Laughing, he answers, No, my girl, you eat as much as your little stomach can take. It's just the thing your mom used to do. She'd toss up her popcorn, nuts, grapes, anything really, and catch it all in her mouth. The more I watch you, Apple, the more I see your mama in you. And with that, he moves on to the next row to tackle some overgrown tomatoes, grinning all the way. My heart is smiling. Maybe my mother never really left me. Maybe she's with me, in me, even today. After all, one grape catcher can only beget another. Grandma stops and stares at me. Apple, see this? He holds up a packet of daisy seeds. Well, yes, I can see it. Taking a seed into his hand, he says, Now some may think it's just shriveled up and lifeless, but to seed, it knows better. It has to die when I plant it in the ground. Okay, so what's up with this agriculture lesson? He digs a small hole and lays the seed in it, then gently covers it up. Now that seed changes and begins a new existence. Grandpa points to a row of yellow and orange flowers next to me. It flowers into a whole new life. But just because you can't see it way down in the dirt doesn't mean it isn't there. It's alive. Well, I'm not sure what this is about, but maybe he thinks I'll go into farming. I really don't do bib overalls well. Does anyone? I finally ask something, or actually admit why I hate cemeteries. So, well, I hesitate. I'm sort of afraid of dying, after my mom. If I stay away from cemeteries, then I guess death will stay out of my life. Musham whispers in my ear while hugging me. Oh, my girl, here's a secret. You're gonna die. So much for gentle words of wisdom, he continues. Apple, the day you are born, you've begun on the path to die. But it's the journey in this path, life, where you need to focus. Don't be afraid of death. It's just another form of life, one we can't see. But just because you can't see something doesn't make it something to be afraid of. He's so smart and so right, I guess. Still. And so the days melted into more days, laughter and love spilling over my time spent with my grandparents, Junior, all my relatives, and of course little Nezzy, who has snuck into my heart. After all, we're best friends. It's taking me forever to remember the rest of my relatives' names, but they all seem to know mine. Even after all these summer weeks, I'm still learning their names. Apparently, they don't believe in naming kids Tom, Dick, or Harry. Spot or Jane aren't on the top 10 list for names either. Here, let me explain. I have a cousin Brix, an aunt Chipchee, an uncle Dunseith, and another cousin, twice removed, I have no idea what that means, named Gypsy. About that last cousin, I tried to use one of those mnemonic memory tricks to remember his name. Remember those tricks? You try to think of something that rhymes with their name. However, my cousin Gypsy didn't take it so well when I called him Tipsy. So I pulled out another memory trick, where a person imagines an animal on the person's face, which triggers the actual name. Now I call him Moth. Not sure if it's helping me any, that I carry a fly swatter around, looking for rogue insects. Gypsy gives me a wide berth when I walk past him. Auntie Ober comes for coffee a few times since my last visit to her house. Whenever she shows up at Grandma's house, she gives me a little wink and a nod, sort of like we have a secret between us. I guess we sort of do. If no one else is around, she whispers, "My girl, any more dreams?" "Just the same one, Auntie, just the same one." Looking around like she's on a covert operation, she always answers, "Well, that dream is telling you a message. Until you learn and take it to heart, it will keep coming to you." It sort of reminds me of Nezzy's comment about school. Sometimes things seem like such a waste of time, whether it's dreams or education. But I guess if you actually take it to heart and learn something, you can move on to the next lesson you're meant to hear. I feel that up here in the Turtle Mountains. My thinking is clearer. Maybe getting away from the bustling city calms me. Grandma says that when we have too many things on our mind, like money, anger, or trying to be popular, our thoughts get sidetracked and we block out connections. And connections are what's really important. Also, I don't seem to have any of my weird visions or impulses to pose weird questions to answer to anyone up here. There was only that one to Carl. What was it? Something about, how many albums does Barry Manilow have out? Now I'm starting to notice how much I see Carl and his boys around town. Most mornings he cuts through the block in the alley, out back, heading to work. That's a little too close for comfort, and a little too close to my bedroom window. It would only take him a few seconds to throw something in or try to steal something, since he's so bent on getting paid for whatever my mom had of his. Every so often I catch him staring at me from his silver truck, glaring at me. His boys aren't any better. They stare when I'm at the post office, on the sidewalk with Nezzy, at the McDonald's. Sometimes his older boy is in the back of the truck and yells, "Hey, it's the white engine." It makes the hairs on my neck quiver. Are they following me? Or are they stalking me? One positive thing I'm catching on to up here is how much Native people revere their elders. Obviously, Carl and his boys haven't learned this one yet. Most others, though, show respect. The kids make sure the elders have what they need, especially when it comes to food. We kids always refill their coffee cups. We clear the table and start the dishes while the adults visit around the table. And we do this without even an eye roll or a sarcastic comment. It's not automatic, and from what I can see, some kids need reminding, but it's expected. It was sort of different for me back in the city. At home, my stepmom, Judy, jumps at the sight of an empty juice glass. She waits on us kids. But in the Turtle Mountains, the younger ones wait on the elders, without being told. What a concept. Yet, it feels good to take care of someone else for a change. It's not just refilling coffee either. If an uncle or auntie walks into a room and all the chairs are full, it's up to the young ones to get up and offer their chair. I learned that quickly. And guess how? Yep, I blew it. So the second week up here, I was comfortably sitting in Grandpa's cushy recliner watching the Cubs game. It's Cubs games up here, only the Cubbies games allowed in Grandma's house. Mushum walked in the living room to a full house. Everyone was at the house to watch the game between the Cubs and the Minnesota Twins, and there wasn't an empty chair anywhere. So I always liked to sit in Grandpa's comfy recliner right in front of the TV, and when he walked in, he paused, looked around, and smiled at everyone. But he just stood there. Pretty soon all eyes were on me. So were the pointy lips. First it was Grandma, then Junior, and then even Nezzie, lip pointing at me, and then up. I actually didn't make a scene. Grandpa was waiting for me to get up and wouldn't think of embarrassing me. After finally getting up and moving to the floor next to his chair, I felt a little pat on the head from him as he nestled in to cheer his team on. "Why, that ump is blind," Grandma commented after her favorite player struck out. "Get some glasses, you old coot." "Yeah, I guess I could get you your boots," Mushum replied, as Grandma looked at him and just shook her head. A second later, I peeked back at him, and he just winked ever so quickly at me. He is so playing up this hearing loss. I think it may be what I love about him best, his sense of humor. To him, life is too short to get mad or crabby. Grandpa has worked hard in his life, but along the way he had fun and didn't take himself too seriously and doesn't stress out. Life happens whether we like it or not. Having anxiety or anger isn't something my Indian relatives dwell on. They have an attitude that things will work out if you put effort into the good things in life. I think my blood pressure has gone down quite a bit trying to live this way.